Hey everyone, welcome to my show. Be sure to hit like, follow, and subscribe on YouTube and Twitch for all my exclusive content. Hello again, Fleet Commanders. Tiberius here with another quick video for you. Wanted to take a minute and talk about the new officer in the room, Mr. Tal. We talked a little about him on some previous shows, but while he is still available for purchase for the next day or two, 2 days exactly, in the event store or in the pay store, you've got a $50 option, which is enough to unlock him. You've got a $100 option, which is enough to unlock him and then tier him up to tier 2. If you purchase both options, you'll be a third of the way toward tier 3. But I did want to take a quick minute and stop and talk about him and some practical uses and applications for him that might make him a valuable pickup while you still have time. So, where is Mr. Tal? There he is. So, his captain's ability, not all that impressive. When fighting battleships, Tal increases the weapon damage of the ship by 20%. Not really that big of a deal. You've got so many other things that add to weapon damage, giving him extra synergy from his other crew. He is part of the Charvanek group, so that would give you a little bit there because she's got armor piercing, so as her ability, so you would get extra damage, and then the mitigation lowering from Charvanek, but still not going to be the game-changing ability that his officer ability is. As long as the opponent's ship is burning, Tal decreases its hull health by 5% each turn. That's tier 1. It scales up 6%, 7%, 8%, and then it jumps to 10% when you get him maxed out. So that would be a pretty significant boost. Sourcing for him is probably going to be limited for quite a while, probably to just the pay store. So sorry, all you free-to-play players. It's going to be a while before you're going to have access to him. But if you are looking, somebody who occasionally spends, if the value is right, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this guy and why his value might be right for you to make that purchase now while you still have the availability to. So 5% hull health each turn as long as it's burning. That's a lot of damage. That's just straight hull health. If you put him in base defense, he's immediately got great value there. You park him on a miner, so he's in the back, so he's going to last for multiple rounds. You know, even against some of these big G4, G5 ships that are just going to plow through your early ships, he's still going to be persisting and still doing additional damage. Plus, then you got the defense cannons behind, putting some damage through as well. If you have other officers like Strike Team Una or Harrison or things like that who are ignoring shield damage as well, it's more damage that's getting piled on the hull. Burning already does 1% at the end of each round. Now you've got Tal adding an extra 5% to that. Really going to put some hull damage onto targets pretty quickly. It only works against ships, though. This does not work against armadas, so keep that in mind. Don't waste your armada credits trying to do a Tal group. Not going to work. That'd be really crazy broken. You would just get 5 people with Tal go take out the, level 50 whatever epics, and the whole thing would be dead in just a few rounds because you would just strip the hull health all the way down to nothing. So, but for PvP and PvE, certainly does have a lot of uses. We mentioned the base defense, but there's another one that I want to mention. I want to take a specific look at right now, and that's your Mantis grinding, your Axion hostiles. People used to do this prior to this level 37 system getting fixed. It only used to spawn, up until a couple months ago, it would spawn one regular guy and one Apex. And people used to bring their other ship in here, their Pylum or their G5 ship, and they would just, instead of grinding with their Mantis, they would just fill up their cargo, blasting away with their regular ship because it could hold more than the Mantis. Certainly more expensive to do than, the repair bill. Mantis is like maybe 5 million tritanium, whereas my Pylum is like 100 million tritanium, so certainly a lot more expensive to do. But the cargo capacity is also a little bit better here. As you can see, it's probably nearly double. I think my Mantis gets about 100k if I have, a little more from Stan or a little more from La'an. I did not plan this through all the way, so I do not have my lower deck slots filled out correctly. I should have La'an down there. I should also have Galinar down there, so I'm getting extra drops, extra credit from drop rates. But here we are. I'm down to about half hull health, and I'm sitting at about 90,000 Axion loot. And I went with a crew of Kang, along with Tal and Giorgio to apply the burning. Kang I chose because of the hull breach, not really going to come into matter too much, but I wanted him lowering their defense to get their mitigation as low as possible. So I put more damage through to the shields and to the hull and try and get the thing killed faster. You could certainly use 5 of 11 here as well. I did the math beforehand, looking at, with this crew, what's my mitigation at? It was like 69%. I'm fighting level 39 hostiles. So if we take a look at one of these targets real quick. Now you would expect with Tal's ability taking away 5% of the health, Giorgio applying burning, that's taking an additional 1% from the burning mechanic. So they're losing 6% of their hull health each round. The fight should be over in 15, 16, 17 rounds, somewhere in that aspect. Somewhere around 17 rounds is what I would guess. This one went 18. We'll take a look at why in a second, but as you can see, the damage that they're doing to me. Let me pull my handy dandy calculator over here. So 25104, 36024. I'm already mitigating nearly 70%, so having 5 of 11 wouldn't boost that mitigation any further, much further, an extra 1% to damage. Not really a whole lot. He would boost the loot drop, so I'd be out here less time, for sure. And we're going to run some experiments with that later. On my Tuesday night stream, we'll give that a try. So if you're watching this now, about a day from now, tomorrow night, live on Twitch, come on over. Come on over. Come on. It's fun. We'll be doing that live. We'll test out with 511 instead and see if we get any better results in terms of rounds and values and how that goes. I'll also remember to put Galinar below deck and La'an below deck to get the extra cargo boost to see what kind of changes that makes. But as you can see here, my Giorgio, based on her tier, I think she's tier 4, has a 75% chance to apply burning. Then you've got Tal doing his thing, taking 5%. And then I've got Kang doing his thing, lowering, their mitigation. So what damage I'm doing to them, 204, 427, 663, 833. They're only mitigating almost 31% of my damage. So a lot more of it is making its way through to the shields and then to the hull. We'll see if I go back here. I don't even get the shields down all the way. So maybe I don't even need that. This was just, again, first rough draft. But it's certainly possible that I don't even need that going on from him. Because as you can see, this thing still has a ton of shield health left. So Kang may not be the right guy in the spot. 511 probably going to work better in our tests, but this was just, a quick run through. So let's look at the battle log. As you can see, Giorgio procs for 2 rounds. Tal goes off. We move on. There she is again, procking for 2 rounds, 2 rounds. So she's actually doing really good in this particular fight. She's procking very consistently. So you can see every round. Okay, so she didn't go that round, but she came back on the next round. Didn't go that round, came back on the next round. She's doing a pretty good job here at 75%. She should likely be hitting every other round. And then here's our final round, where the thing actually dies because of Tal's ability. Because Tal's proccing at the start of the round, whereas burning hits at the end of the round. So she hits it with burning, his ability goes off, decreases its hull health, and sayonara. See you later. Target destroyed. Interesting. Wouldn't have thought it would have worked like that. Would have thought the decrease would have been at the end of the round like burning applies. But it looks like Tal's going off at the start of the round when he's doing his damage, which is a little bit different. I do want to scroll down here and show you a different battle log. This one took a few rounds longer. You can see this is 22 rounds because Giorgio let me down. There she is in round 6 and 7. She goes off. In round 8, she goes off. She doesn't go off in 9. She doesn't go off in 10. Now, this is 2 rounds now without... So burning was because she didn't go off in 9, burning was still active because she applies it for 2 rounds. But at the start of round 10, she also doesn't go off. So now there is no burning. So now Tal's ability does not work and do anything either. And this can happen sometimes, so depending on, a little random luck and the tier of your Giorgio in terms of how consistent. Giorgio better than Nero in this instance because of how she applies at the beginning of the round. Nero works differently in terms of, I believe he's based on weapon firing. We'll look at him in just a second. Here she goes again and again. Now, she didn't go off in 15, but her burning applies for 2 rounds, so it carried over. But here we are in 16. Again, she did not go off. So 2 rounds in a row, she does not go off. No Tal boost either. So now it's just regular weapon damage. And then the final rounds of the fight here, she also doesn't go off again. 2 rounds in rounds 20 and 21. But she does at the start of 22. Tal does his thing, finishes the fight off. So, I did just want to take a quick peek at that, point out some of the alternative uses for this character. When talking about burning, you have a couple different officers that can apply it. Giorgio being the best, in my opinion, because of when she procs and how. Nero does also have the ability here. Every time the ship strikes the opponent with a weapon attack, he's got a 50% chance of burning it for 2 rounds. So he's not going to proc at the start of the round, so you're not going to get any Tal damage in round 1. But every time you shoot them, pew, 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 you've got a shot at 50%, a 50% chance of him actually applying it. If you have a ship that has a lot of weapon shots, you're getting more chances at him going off. But, it's still a coin flip, and that coin could come up, tails 5 or 6 times in a row. It's unlikely. But you're not getting, you're skipping round 1 essentially, but it might be more consistent going forward. Because, again, he's applying it for 2 rounds. You've got a ship that's got a number of weapon shots. So you could potentially see more consistent value throughout the course of a fight, whereas we did notice that Giorgio did skip a round or 2. Again, it also depends on your tier of her. Other officers, there is another officer that applies burning, but I'm trying to think, is it Mirek? Yeah, every time the ship gets hit by a weapon, she has a 20% chance of burning the opponent's ship for 1 round. Weapons of multiple shots only trigger this once per attack. Now, she is also a Romulan Patriot, so you would be getting a bonus from Tal boosting her. And if we go take a quick peek over at stfc.space and we look at officers and we look at Mirek, that's only a 10% increase if they have the right symbols. If they don't have, assuming they're not the same symbol. Let's see if they are or not. They are different symbols. Cool. So that would be a 30% chance every time they shoot you. And it's only for 1 round. So not that great. You could try and double up if you really wanted to make sure, put Nero as captain or put Mirek as captain and then still have Giorgio on the side. Might be a little bit of overkill, but certainly something you could play around with. I don't think there are any other officers, any of these other uncommons or anything like that who do. This is when your ship is burning. Yeah, I think that's about it for burning abilities. Yeah, my Giorgio's tier 4 here. So she's applying 75% chance. I think it maxes out at 80. It does max out at 80. So you could get it up, if you get her all the way to the top, you can get an extra 5% out of it. But even, decently here, Nero will still work plenty of times as well. So if you don't have Giorgio yet, or she's just a low tier 50, 60%, Nero might actually be better than that. You're giving up round one, as we talked about, but you might have more consistency throughout the fight. It is going to depend on the firing pattern of your ship too, in terms of how many weapons you have. I'm using a Pilum, so we're getting a whole bunch of weapon shots early on in the fight, and if he's going to apply it for 2 rounds, well, you've got a decent shot. He's going to apply it consistently based on the firing pattern here. If you had a ship that had fewer weapon shots, that's, now you're just sort of relying on a coin toss and then only flipping it once or twice. So you could potentially have issues, but you're probably not doing this strategy unless you've got a good G4 or potentially a G5 ship. I think that's all I really wanted to cover. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. Otherwise, hopefully I'll see you Tuesday night on my live Twitch stream, and we will explore using 5 of 11 just to see how much better the actual drops in value are in damage reduction and all that fun stuff. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. See you around the galaxy.